fans out there. This is Leigh. This is a froggy version of Leigh. So I'm sorry that you're having to hear this episode from Kermit the Frog. But however, this is Leigh on Coda Country Chats. And today we are joined by Nashville singer-songwriter Ashley Ann. How are you today, Ashley Ann?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. So listen, okay, first question I have for you. I'm from the South. I'm from like South Georgia. Oh, originally. And we are a big believer in the double name. Would you say that Ashley Ann is a double name?
I've never been asked that question before. I mean, it's funny because it's my first and middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because when I moved to Nashville, like all my gal friends here call me Ashley Ann. Like my name in their phone is Ashley Ann. And back home, it's like my last name. So it's kind of like I don't know. I mean, it is me. I don't know if I could do with like a fake name. That might feel a little odd. Like I do like how it is my name, but I don't know. I've never been asked if I think it's a double name.
That's a very big deal where I'm from. Like I feel like I don't know. I don't want to say like Peggy Sue, but I feel like it's like I don't know, and it's perfect syllables, so it makes sense to me. I love it, Ashley Ann. I'm happy to meet you today. I'm happy to talk with you. For the listeners out there, Ashley Ann dropped Dear Dolly, the EP, recently, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a couple of my personal favorites. And that happens to be Prayed Harder and She Ain't Texas. I want to talk a little bit about She Ain't Texas first.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you threw in all those nitty gritty band references on purpose, right? Tell me more about the writing process. Yeah, go for it.
The writing process on this one is funny because I was in Virginia during the summertime, and I just had this idea for like a girl from Texas to sing this song, and I was just like, she ain't Texas, she ain't all these things, and I just like, this was in a period of my life where like I was really getting into co-writing and really getting into the songwriting world here in Tennessee, and I would sit at home and I'd be like, okay, write a song for somebody else. That was like my goal every day, was to sit and write a song for somebody else. I was writing songs for dudes, I was writing songs for girls, things that I hadn't even experienced. And that is like so not for me as far as what I release as an artist. Like I'm very passionate about the fact that every song I've put out, I have lived in some shape or form. And I was writing She Ain't Texas for somebody else. It was an experiment for myself as a writer to start writing for other people. And I'm sitting there kind of just like freestyling these lyrics, and I'm filming myself doing so. And I remember, and I ended up like splicing that video. It was like a super long video. I spliced it into like a minute-long video, and it blew up on TikTok. It went viral. And I remember talking to my team and being like, I didn't live this. This isn't my story. I didn't feel comfortable releasing it, but there was like crazy amounts of people that wanted this song.
Yeah.
So I ended up putting it out. And I remember, I always tell this story because I think it's funny, but I remember praying about it and being like, God, like, I feel icky about this song. I feel icky about the fact that I didn't live this story. It's not my story. Who am I to tell? Whatever. Yeah. And literally 2 weeks after the song came out, this dude that I was talking to, I find out that he's had a girlfriend for a while.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, thank you, God. Like, this is that was my calling. That was like, he wanted to be like, okay, let me just like put you through this real quick so you don't feel so gross about it. So now I'm able to say I have been 2 times, and this song does speak to me on a deeper level now, for sure.
I mean, I hate that he put you in that situation like that. That's terrible. Oh my gosh.
But I just saw the silver lining immediately. Like, I was not upset about it. I was just like, thank you. I was like, this is God answering my prayer.
Yes. Putting you into places and finding a way to make light of them. Wow. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm really glad you told me that story, because that was one of the ones that I was like, this is a really good song. Oh my gosh. And then, well, okay. All of them are great. Let me go back and say I talked about Prayed Harder. Um, Mary Jane's Been Talking. I wanted to talk about is there is Mary Jane referenced as like a woman, or is there another underlying reference there? I'm curious to
So
know.
the whole story behind Mary Jane's Been Talking was I was I wrote it when I had got back from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And in Virginia, a lot of my friends, I don't smoke weed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I
I
don't
don't
smoke
either.
weed. But a lot of my friends back home, being from a beach town, it's pretty normal,
Yeah.
just between all my friends. So I had left Virginia and I came back here. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm going full throttle with music. I'm
Mm-hmm.
living alone in this new house. My roommates won't come till September when school starts. Like, it was just kind of a big step for me, like
Mm-hmm.
leaving Virginia. It kind of felt like a final leave a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and I came back here and I remember stepping outside of my car after an 11-hour car ride. And I step outside and my neighbor's smoking weed.
Oh my gosh.
And I smell it and I'm like, I immediately think of my friends from back home. Like, they're just like, their image is in my head. Like, I smell it and like that sense just like, it just came to me just thinking about my friends from home. And I wrote down in my notes, Mary Jane's been talking about you, as in like every time Mary Jane is around, like I
Mm-hmm.
think of this person. So I turned it to a love song. And it's kind of funny because I remember I remember I was sitting here with my two of my friends and we were all eating dinner and I was sitting on the couch right here, like picking up my guitar, and I had this melody in my head that I couldn't stop singing. Mary Jane's been talking, Mary Jane's been talking. I was singing it over and over again in my head. I was like, I need to do something with this.
Yes.
And I just started, I literally just, I put down my guitar, and I remember I went to my notes app, and I just started writing out this song. And then I literally hit record on my, and I had never written a song this way. Like, this is not a normal occurrence for me.
Cool. Yeah.
I wrote Mary Jane's Been Talking in 14 minutes.
That's incredible. Oh my
And I didn't
gosh.
think, like, I didn't rethink any lyrics. I didn't go back and, like, think, maybe something better would be said. I really just didn't think about it. It wasn't one of those songs. I didn't think I would ever release it. Like, I didn't think it needed to be perfect. And then I started showing it to my friends, and they were just immediately obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
yeah.
obsessed with it. No, because I kind of like, I didn't want to insinuate that there was some kind of underlying, but I heard it. I was like, if I were one of those people that smokes, because I'm not, Mom, I'm not.
I don't.
But I could see like how the influence of that kind of makes you think different things, and I don't know, almost like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're seeing something or you're feeling something while that's happening to you. Anyway, so cool to hear that final story from you. And 14 minutes is like ridiculous, almost
I've
unheard of.
never done that before. I think that's the fastest song that I've ever written. Like, it's not like a normal occurrence for me, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that, but it was definitely a special song writing process for sure.
Definitely. All right. So, talking to you a little bit about where you're from, Virginia Beach, for the listeners out there who don't know. Tell me about what made you, growing up in Virginia Beach, what made you want to become a songwriter and move to Nashville?
So, from a really young age, I was always just like playing with my little tiny blue acoustic guitar and my little pink keyboard that only played Maroon 5 songs. Um, and I just
She will be loved over and over.
No, literally every day, every day. But I was obsessed with performing. Like, it started as just like I love to perform. I love to be in front of people. I love to be the center of attention. Like, that was just who I was as a kid. Me and my sisters were all like that. Like, just like love to be the entertainers. And I think going towards like my 10, 11-year-old area of my life, like things got really, really, really dark in my family and in my childhood. And I felt like the only way that I could I mean, I remember being in 5th grade and we'd have these writing assignments in my English class, and it'd be like, write a poem about the hardest thing you had to go through. And like, I just remember my teacher being like, Ashley, you have something very special in writing. And that was kind of the first time that I really found, like, I always loved English class. It was always my favorite. I loved reading and I loved writing. And once I was 11 years old, I wrote my first song.
Wow.
And it just, from literally, I could confidently say it wasn't up until a year ago when I moved here that I had the creative freedom to write not only about things that were harming me, like for a very long time. And I think that has like built a certain passion and drive inside of me. Like for a very long time, I was only able to write about things that were harming me and that were hurtful, and that was my way of like fathoming what was going on and like why it was happening to me and all those things. So I think once I moved here and I finally just felt like free from all of the darkness that I kind of carried in Virginia Beach, I moved here and I was just able to write about things like from different perspectives and from different things. And I'm such like a firm believer in the fact that people hear things all the time, like be kind, don't bully, like when you're little, and they're like, have gratitude, say thank you, hold the door. All these things that like us humans hear over and over and over again, like they start to just go in one ear and out the other. And I'm such a firm believer that if you take something that, like a topic like love, a topic like heartbreak, things that we hear about so much, especially in music, and you put it into a new perspective and a new light, and you say it in a different way, people will hear it for the first time, or for what they think is the first time. And I think like Prayed Harder is a good example of that. It's like, I don't think a lot of girls are sitting there thinking that thought when, you know, a boy chooses some other girl over them. They're not necessarily like, maybe she prayed harder, but like that song puts something so common into a new perspective. And I feel like it creates this like urgency to hear it for the first time and then to think about it. And I think that's so important, and that's kind of like my goal in my whole career, is to just like help people hear things for what they think is the first time when it's really not, but just like be able to learn from it and like become wiser.
Definitely. Well, in hearing about your fresh start moving to Nashville, it's kind of like opening your eyes to a new perspective while still providing a new perspective to those who are turning on to your music and listening to what you have to say. And that's that's a pretty cool place to be in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go back and talk a little bit about the title track, Dear Dolly. Um, tell me what was your I mean, I think I know what the biggest inspiration of that track was, but tell me what made you write that song.
So a lot of people don't know there was a very dark underlying meaning to this song. I was 17 when I wrote it, and I was I was struggling with my relationship with Jesus. I was like going through such trials, and I was just like, why? I've been kind. I've been polite. I treat people, you know, well, and like why, if there is a higher power, why am I just constantly being put through something that is completely out of my control?
Yeah.
And I just had a really hard time believing in God when I was at that age. And I was driving in my car and I put my recording on my phone. And I was driving and I didn't know where I was driving. It was in a point in my life where I didn't have a home base. And I was just kind of couch surfing between friends. And I remember driving with all my bags in the back of my car being like, where do I go next? You know, trying to figure out like different people to call and different people to text, like don't have anywhere to stay tonight. And I was just like, okay, this is a period in my life where I would usually pray to God. But I was so in a dark place and like could not think to pray to God. So I literally just started like singing this line of like, who is somebody that I can like listen to their music or listen to their story and like be guided? You know, like a physical human being of whom I know exists and like it was Dolly. I mean, my grandfather, he calls me Dolly, and like he introduced me to her music, and I would literally sit there and listen to her songs and like try to understand her better. And I would watch interviews and I would read her books, and I was just trying to understand her better as a person so that I could like take what I was going through and somehow like see how she maybe would have done it.
Yeah.
I just idolized her to a very high extent, and I think that when I felt like there wasn't somebody up there looking out for me, I was like, let me just write to somebody who I know exists.
Mm-hmm.
So that song was very kind of vulnerable, and but it's funny because when I started teasing it and when people started to like that song on TikTok and stuff before it even came out, like nobody's sitting there thinking that.
Right.
Nobody's
Yeah.
sitting there thinking like, but if you listen to the lyrics, like especially in the bridge, like
Mm-hmm.
I do put her there. I mean, there's no comparison to Jesus, but I do say things like, you've saved my life and shine your light and like things that you would say to God. And like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just interesting because I think as a 17-year-old, that was my only way of coping at the time.
I'm really glad you shared that story, just because I get where you're coming from, where it's sometimes hard to, I don't know, wrap our head around, a higher being, and what better way to place importance on someone who kind of paves the way in country music for a lot of female artists and even just songwriters in general. You think about all the great hits that Dolly's written, and now setting you up on your journey to write even more songs. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff if you think about it.
Yeah,
How
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk a little bit more about your songwriting style. So in the song credits that I was kind of doing some research on, I saw that you wrote pretty much all of these songs on the EP by yourself. Is that right?
I wrote
Yeah.
three of them by myself.
Yeah.
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 Oh gosh, I don't even know. Like me and my friends joke about this, and like, I mean, I almost feel spoiled because like I didn't move here and then like start co-writing and like that's all I've ever known. Like
Right.
I've been writing songs by myself since I was 11.
Yay.
So like writing by myself is like exercising a muscle that like
Hmm.
I I mean, it's not a job. It's
Hmm.
not a job. It's not a burden. It's not like I sit down every day and I'm like, I have to write a song every day because it'll
Right.
make me better. I sit down and I just end up writing a song every day by myself.
Cool.
And I literally, like, I don't know. I have so many thoughts, and my friends joke me, they're like, if you're friends with Ashley, like your life is just an adventure. Cause like it's just different, something crazy, something different every single day. And it's
Yeah.
like such a blessing. But at the same time, there's a lot to write about. So there's a lot that I go through
Hmm.
to write about. And I'm so thankful for that because like I don't think I can pull from like, fake places.
Yeah.
If I'm writing for somebody else, I have to just like put myself there, and I have to think of something that I've gone through that the emotions would be similar and just like
Hmm.
feel that with them as I'm writing it.
Mm.
But there are a lot
Hmm.
of people in this town who just shoot the shit. Like who
Yeah.
just write and they're just like, oh, freestyle this, freestyle, and I respect the heck out of people who can do that, but it's not me. Like
Right.
if I'm feeling something so heavy, like I can shoot that kind of stuff. Like Mary Jane's been
Hmm.
talking, for instance. I guess you could
Yeah.
say that was like a fast write, but like for the most part, I sit and I think about what I'm saying, and there are hidden messages everywhere, and there are hidden meanings everywhere. It's an art to me, like
Hmm.
truly. And I think that like as far as co-writing versus writing by myself, I love both. Like I really, really do love both. I love the fact that my job is to show up every day and meet new people and create
Hmm.
art with them.
Yeah.
Like that's just like a blessing within itself. So when I come home and weathering something or I'm experiencing something, you know, happy. Like any emotions that I have, I will pour it out into song because that's just how I know how to do it.
Yeah. No, I love hearing that from you because when I was hearing you talk about how, you share your story, your thoughts, making this a very personal thing, I see why. Um, it's easy to fall in the trap of just finding some random old topic to talk about and just
Yeah.
trying to come up with something. But I appreciate the fact that you really write from the heart and really write from your head as well. It's like you have this really meticulously like thought out and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, instead of just, girl, I know your favorite beer because you
Yeah,
told me and I
yeah,
bought it.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I think like that it's crazy because like I feel like spoiled that I'm able to do that because a lot of
Mhm.
people, you know, there's bills to pay. And
Yeah.
like there are families to take care of and I
Mhm.
totally get why people like, you know, chase the money and like want they just want a hit, so they're going to write a hit and like
Right.
I totally understand that, but like I'm 20 years old. I'm
Mhm.
in a place where like I have the creative freedom to just say what I want and like
Yeah.
not worry about if it's gonna pay the bills.
Yeah. I
So
know what you mean. Yeah. No, I cut you off. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
well, I just feel very lucky that like I'm able to, you know, write from a real place because I think that there is a lot of like weight on a lot of people's shoulders. Like it has to be a hit and it has to get on the radio and it has to get cut by a big artist. Like I'm not thinking about that when I'm writing.
Mhm.
I will never get in a room and be like, okay, let's write a hit song today. I will never do that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just not me. And I respect people who do, but I can't. Like, I can't do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Well, and staying true to yourself is all a part of it, and I applaud you for that because I'm sure, like you said, there's a lot who do the opposite, and
Hmm.
it just keeps that true, authentic self kind of at the forefront, which I know a lot of your fans are very happy to hear. So, speaking about your fans and speaking about things that you have going on, tell me a little bit more about what 2024 has in store for you. Oh my God, there was too many rhymes. I'm so sorry.
2024 has in store for you. Songwriting.
More like Dr. Seuss. It's okay. Keep going.
Oh, but 2024, honestly, like this past just month, 2 months, has been like the most, like the biggest shift in my
Yeah.
life. Because like I moved here, that was a big shift. I went to
Hmm.
college, that was a big shift. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden within the last month, like I have WME on my team now, and I'm about to sign a pub deal, and I'm dropping out of college, and I'm like, all these things are like changing, and it happens so fast, and like
Hmm.
obviously it took like, you know, all of the roots and everything that I
Yeah.
was putting in beforehand. It's not like it all just whatever happened, but like they all kind of popped up at the same time. And I like even just the EP release and like it was just a busy first month of
Yeah.
2024 and I just immediately felt like overwhelmed with gratitude, the fact that like I'm going into this new year with like literally the best people in the world on my team. I can't even like begin to understand why these people believe in me so much. It's like I always say like with my friends who are artists, I'm like, I wish I could just give you my team for like a month
Yeah.
because I
Hmm.
literally feel so passionate about the fact that I have the best people. And it's not like I met these WME people and it's just like, okay, yeah, great, like let's work together. It's like they came over to my house and like we were, you know, texting all the time and calling. They
Wow.
show up to everything that I do and like I'm creating relationships with them and like that is
Hmm.
so important to me at the end of the day that like my team likes me as a person.
Yeah.
Cause like,
Definitely.
and I know that sounds like crazy, but like
No, it makes sense.
it's so a thing, you know? Like people just like have these teams and it's just like, yeah, we work for her. And I'm like, that is
Hmm.
not the case at all. These people are my family
Yeah.
and these people like I love them as much as they love me and we're all
Hmm.
equals here. We're all trying to do the same thing. We all have the same goal. Like that is just so important to me. So signing to WME was really, really awesome. And then I also just like with this year I feel like my biggest goal just for myself is to like I've dropped out of college. And I dropped out of college at the beginning of January, and I just turned 20 in January. So I was a 19-year-old who was dropping out of college, trying to WME, like looking at pub offers, and I just like I feel like the most important thing to me is to like stay grounded and like stay humble in my group, like in my friend group, in my family, like my sisters, and just like don't get so ahead of yourself, because I think that there's a lot of people who just like it gets exciting, and I totally get
Mhm.
it, but like at the end of the day, it will always be an art to me, and it'll always be a blessing to me that I get to do this as a career. And then I have my friends here who just like ground me and keep me humble, and my sisters do the same thing. So I feel like a big goal for me this year is to like stay grounded in myself,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just like a big thing for me too is like being taken seriously as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Because I think that when you have, I don't know, like there's such a stigma between artist versus songwriter,
Right.
and I just want it to blend. Like I want to walk into a room full of writers and people be like, she's a writer.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't like, oh, the artist is walking in and you're gonna write a song for her today. Like, I don't like that. I walk into
Mhm.
a room and I'll tell people, I'll be like, okay, like, don't put me on a pedestal. You're not on a pedestal. Like, we're just like here trying to create something. Like, we all have the same goal. And like, I just want everybody to feel, you know, like comfortable. And I want
Yeah.
everybody to just speak from the heart. And it doesn't have to be this whole like, okay, Ashley Ann's a 20-year-old artist and you're going to write for her today. Like, I don't like that. I'd rather just like,
Mhm.
okay, let's create a relationship and like
Mhm.
let's bond over something, let's laugh or let's cry, and then let's write about it. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't want it to just be this artificial formula based thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's really important for me this year to just, I mean, I'm writing every day with people that I've never met, with people that I have met, like just trying to expand my knowledge and learn from people and get in rooms where I'm the worst writer in the room,
Mhm.
and just like expand my knowledge of the art and like learn from people who are insanely talented, and start to just be taken seriously as a songwriter, not only be like the Ashley Ann who sings a Dear Dolly song, and just be like, and not that I feel like I have to prove myself to anyone, but I feel like I have to prove myself to myself. I've always felt that like I want to be the best version of myself for myself, and I just, that is really important to me, that people take me seriously as a songwriter, because I, you know, take myself seriously as a songwriter before I take myself seriously as an artist. I don't know. No one knows what the heck they're doing as an artist. Like, it's really just like, oh, I'm a marketable product. Like, buy me,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So I feel like just, you know, being the heart behind the songs and then being the voice behind the songs, like at the same time, is very important to me.
I love hearing that. Listeners out there, I was just telling Ashley Ann before we got on the call that I was fangirling over her acoustic drop of Dear Dolly. She put that out on February the 2nd. And I'm even more of a fan of you now, just hearing more of the story and knowing more about you, because it seems like you are just genuinely you. And that's really all we can ask for.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So before we hop off the call today, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was great. I've loved getting to know you more.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love just being able to like, I don't know, I love being
Talk.
able to share. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people don't hear all of it in the songs, obviously, so it
Mhm.
is important to just be able to speak words sometimes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to, or anything else that you'd like to promote before we hop off the show today?
Oh gosh, if I were to give shout out to people, we'd be here for literally forever. Like, I can't even begin. My people know who they are, and like
Yeah.
it's just shout out to my people, my team, my best friends, like my people. that is what keeps me sane, you know? Like, I
Mhm.
forget that I'm a 20-year-old. You still need to live your life. You still need to live
Yes.
a life to be able to write songs about. And I wake up every morning and I'm like watering my plants, and I'm like, I'm watering my plants. Like, I'm a 20-year-old watering like, I'm a normal human being. So these people ground me, and my team and my manager, and I feel like the luckiest person in the world, honestly. So it's just shout out to my people, and they know who they are.
That's amazing. Listeners out there, make sure that you check out Ashley Ann's new EP, Dear Dolly. Her new acoustic version just dropped on February 2nd of Dear Dolly, the title track. Check her out, stream her music, find her on social media, and make sure you're following along with her career. Ashley, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
And you heard it here with Coda Country Chats. Bye bye.